Hello class, I'm recording our lecture summary which concludes chapter 5 of our textbook, which was all about stress, anxiety, and arousal. So we're at the point now where I will post a 5-chapter test on D2L. I will post it after class on Thursday, and you will have 1 week to complete your Unit 1 exam. As I mentioned to you in class, when the class was set up to be a fully face-to-face class, I was thinking 7 chapters, test 1, 12 chapters, test 2, but now we're in the situation where we're going to have 3 units of 5 chapters each. First 5 chapters will be test 1, second 5 chapters will be test 2, and your final exam will be the submission of your mental training program along with your 5 class discussions. So a slight break in the plan, but that's where we're at this point. So our chapter 5 on stress, arousal, and anxiety comes after chapter 1, which was all about welcome to sports psychology. Chapter 2 was all about what sports psychologists do, the history of sports psychology, professional associations. Chapter 3 was personality. Chapter 4 was motivation. And now chapter 5, stress, anxiety, and arousal. So as you remember, we defined stress. Hans Selye, the great stress specialist, talked about the functional purpose of eustress, how stress prepares you, mobilizes you, organizes your adrenaline and your cortisol for the flight or fight response. But we as sports psychologists have to help you gain control of your arousal responses, not too high, not too low, psyched up but not psyched out. So we talked about some brainwave states, some deep breathing, some meditation, some relaxation, some yoga, some Tai Chi, some Qigong, all different activities designed to help regulate your levels of arousal. So we talked about arousal being physiological in nature, somatic of the body's response to stress. We talked about anxiety, which is of the mind, psychological in origin, free-floating anxiety, the mind being stressed out, upset, not sure of itself, some cognitive dissonance about the way things should be. And when your mind is stressed out, it sends an interesting, mixed, and combobulated message down to the body to get too tense, stressed, and tense. And we realize that tension, apprehension, and stress in our body is not the best way to produce a smooth, integrated motor response. So that was our initial lecture. Then we looked at defining some terms for arousal. We talked about the yips, which is a focal dystonia where athletes see the target, the ball, the golf hole, the receiver in football, and the mind is not sending a integrated, cool, small, calm, relaxed message to the body, so tension is a result. So we talked about the yips. We talked about Dr. Deborah Cruz's studies at Arizona State University, where she did PET scans, CAT scans, MRIs, and looked at blood flow in nervous golfers' brains and brain waves in nervous golfers' brains. So we talked about dis-ease, that feeling of uncertainty, where you're not sure, you want to make a turnout, you want to make the putt, you want to be on your A game for competition that day, but you're not sure if you can make the free throws, make the penalty kick in soccer, make the strike in baseball or softball. So that uncertainty, that apprehension and tension is what we called anxiety. And we looked at pre-competitive anxiety, that anxious state before competition, and we also talked about the episodic flare-ups of anxiety during competition. So we needed to be able to pin down, systematically desensitize this free-floating nature of anxiety, get rid of anxiety, organize, mobilize, and organize our arousal, our flight or fight system, and hopefully approach the game and produce our best effort on game day. So this is the summary of chapter 5 on stress, arousal, and anxiety. Remember, we made a checklist of all the different terms and syntax and psychological concepts related to arousal. We made a checklist of terms related to anxiety. We made a list of things that make athletes anxious psychologically in life and in sport. We made a list of things that make athletes tense and nervous and stressed out physiologically in both life and in sport. And we pulled the whole thing together with an interesting psychological model, trying to predict who will get nervous during a sporting event and who will, what aspects of your personality underlie that nervous reaction. So we talked about harm, anxiety, a blow to our physical body, harm avoidance, and we talked about a blow to our psychological ego, which was a blow to our personality, and we talked about our need to achieve, our fear of failure, our locus of causality, our trait anxiety, and our self-esteem. And we developed a model explaining which factors of our personality might flare up to cause us to be anxious in sport. And then, of course, the next piece of the puzzle was, if we're anxious in sport, how might that affect our performance? And in class this week, we did watch a video clip of Midnight Express, trying our very best to answer the question, does anxiety and arousal actually affect our performance? And I think when we analyze the video clip of the young man, which is a true story, of trying to smuggle illegal contraband out of a foreign country, he was not successful in producing a successful smuggling performance. So again, we're not trying to teach you how to smuggle illegal drugs out of a foreign land, but we are trying to teach you that game day is important. We want you to take it seriously, and we want you to be able to rise to the occasion and make an appropriate response based on controlling and regulating your anxiety and arousal. So class, I hope some of the things I've said here make sense. Please use this lecture summary to supplement the readings I have been sending you and the work that appears on D2L. After class on Thursday, I will begin to write your exam questions. I will post it on D2L, and you will have 1 week from the time it appears on your D2L to complete your exam 1. So hopefully, class, you're doing well, you're keeping up, and I look forward to hearing from you either on a D2L email or when you come into class.